My election was on the back of that it is about time. It's our time and we need to make a difference. And I promised my community and my residents and every single door knock I did that I will stand for you for next 2 years if you vote me in.
So you made a commitment to people in that community?
To them. And that commitment had more importance in me than my job at that moment of time. So I had to decide whether to stick to the job or to serve my community. I think it was only one choice for me to decide to serve my community. I remember making paper boat and floating on that flood water. And I was quite happy about it because it was amazing. Then a few years later, 1988, there was a huge flood and I couldn't go to school and I was really upset. 1991, there was a cyclone which killed almost 100,000 people. And then I realized there is something about climate change and climate is really affecting us. And I've seen bodies, I've seen things which I shouldn't have witnessed at that point of time. I am a migrant in this country. Half of my life I was in Bangladesh. But I am as proud Geordie as I could be. Yeah. Now whether a lot of people can ask, you're not Geordie enough, your accent is not Geordie enough. Does it matter? Doesn't. But is my heart, does it cry for Elswick every single second?
Yes.
So does it not make me a Geordie? Of course it does.
Welcome to Greens Rising, the podcast where we explore the people reshaping local politics and strengthening communities across the North East. Today we're joined by Councillor Khaled Musharraf, Newcastle's first Green councillor and the first person of Bangladeshi origin elected to the City Council. Khaled holds a master's degree in philosophy, has a background in social entrepreneurship, climate action and social inclusion, and has taken part in major leadership programmes, including the British Council's Lead Bangladesh project and the Northern Powerhouse Senior Leaders Cohort. He's also been recognised as both a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Consulting and a Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. He founded groups such as Muslim Greens, Green Friends of Bangladesh and the Newcastle Wanderers Cricket Club, and he continues to serve as a director on the Northumberland Cricket Board. During the pandemic, he stepped forward as Newcastle's founding community champion, helping coordinate medicine deliveries and vaccine outreach. Khaled's a father of two and a lifelong advocate for community cohesion, public pride and social inclusion. Khaled, so great to have you here on Greens Rising. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
I think you're a trailblazer in so many ways, but I'm aware that up until quite recently, you held the role as director on Urban Green Spaces in Newcastle, which, as I understand, was a charity that was formed by Newcastle City Council. You became a councillor whilst working on that charity, and Newcastle then decided to take that charity back under its arm and make it a normal council service again, which of course would have resulted in you working for Newcastle City Council and therefore not eligible to be a councillor. What a dilemma.
What a dilemma, absolutely. I think when I decided to stand as a councillor, I never thought I will ever come across that road.
Yeah.
And my challenge was at that point because my election was on the back of that it is about time. It's our time and we need to make a difference. And I promised my community and my residents and every single door knock I did that I will stand for you for next 2 years if you vote me in.
So you made a commitment to people in that community?
To them. And that commitment had more importance in me than my job at that moment of time. So I had to decide whether to stick to the job or to serve my community. I think it was only one choice for me to decide to serve my community. And I'm grateful.
So you've resigned from your job, a very senior position, so that you can continue to serve your community as a councillor?
Yes, and there was any other option because when I say we, I mean the whole community, we have been left behind for so long. And
just bowled over by the level of commitment you've demonstrated there.
Sometimes you need to make a decision where people can feel rising. This is what we're talking about. You need to give them hope that someone can open the gate for you. And if I don't hold that gate for long, we would have lost by now.
Yeah.
But we haven't. And I think it's not only the monetary happiness. I think the happiness I have more now that achievement we have made in this area, in my west end of Newcastle and my ward Elswick.
So now the choice is made, you're happy with it?
Well, don't tell my wife that. She's been immense. Her sacrifices has been amazing, and she's in full-time job, full-time mom, and she's been helping me to go through this period of time where I am establishing our grassroots activities and organizing and galvanizing the movement we need to, so that we can focus on and look for a better future for our city. But from the job side, I am doing a part-time work just to manage the expense. And of course, at the moment, I'm a full-time councillor, so I'm quite happy with that side and managing the other side quite well with the family support.
So you've lived a life that spans Bangladesh and Elswick. Yeah. Philosophy, community activism. For people meeting you for the first time, how would you introduce yourself?
I'm a grassroots activist. Community doorstep is my playground. Yeah. I like to know, speak, understand, be there for my community all the time, and especially for the next generation and the future generation, because they are the one who we need to think for now. The people who are coming following us, is all about them.
Yes. I know that climate action is a particular passion of yours because you're well aware of the serious impacts of climate change, and certainly on Bangladesh.
Absolutely. I think that is probably my first link to the green. I remember when I was really young, I can't remember the age, but I remember when there was a flood in the city. I was in Dhaka, in the capital, and I remember making paper boat and floating on that flood water, and I was quite happy about it because it was amazing. Then a few years later, 1988, there was a huge flood, and I couldn't go to school. And I was really upset at that point because I've grown up and I've seen I'm not going to school, probably not because playing football or something. 1991, there was a cyclone which killed almost 100,000 people. And then I realized there is something called climate change, and climate is really affecting us. And I've seen bodies, I've seen things which I shouldn't have witnessed at that point of time from that early age. And I realized that there is something needs to happen to tackle this climate change. Yeah. And only way to do it is to talk about the climate justice we've been missing. Because across the Western world, they established themselves in a time and a period when they didn't see what the consequence would be to a poor country or a country prone to flooding regularly, because Bangladesh is a delta basin and the rising sea level is quite significant. We are in threat of it. So in my mid-20s, that is something I was really vocal about, because unless Western world help, we wouldn't be able to tackle it, because we are a poor country. We're struggling, just coming after a liberation war. We are struggling whether you think about your food or you're going to think about climate. We didn't have that luxury at that time. Mm-hmm. So we needed that help, and that's why the climate justice was in me always. So
is that one of the factors that's drawn you to the Green Party?
That was probably the by default factor. I never been to any other parties in my life, and yes, I think I'm naturally green because of my lived experience through the climate, because I've seen all of that, and I also seen how a lot of sub-Saharan countries going through that.
And obviously, it's accelerating right now.
Absolutely.
What was it that pushed you? The thing that made you decide to join this party, get elected, and try and tackle it in that way?
There is always global issue. There are global issues, significant global challenges, and also there are local issues, which you see every day. And sometimes I felt that it's designed to fail, because if you go to see the back lane of Elswick, you can see how the rubbish build up, fly tippings, and the service has broken down. There's nothing for the kids. There's no safe space for the community to do something there.
When you knock on doors in Elswick, and I know you've done lots of door knocking and directly speaking to residents, is that the sort of thing they talk about?
That is exactly what they talk about, because what they see when they open the door, it is just that. And that is something which made me think it's about time. It is our time to do something about it. If we don't put this effort, then there is no change will happen. So that is why I came out. I said, there is always an opportunity for the community to trust in someone who has that commitment. I have that commitment, and I will do 100% until the end to make a difference. And if that happens. If it doesn't, but you will know that I will do it. And that made a lot of difference in people's thinking.
So I know we've talked previously about restoring pride.
Yeah.
Is pride a thing that's returning to Elswick?
That has to be, because it wasn't there when I was door knocking. I mean, it's still a long way to go, because as I said, it is almost a systematic failure. Just for example, I've seen a lot of kids who established their business, became successful business in Newcastle. A lot of people went to uni, became a doctor or engineer or high degree, and they left the area. And if you think about the best memory you have in your mind is your grandfather or grandmother's house. Yes. Grandparents are the one, you always want to go to them. But in Elswick, they don't want to come back. So that is why, the pride is not there, because they don't feel connected anymore, thinking, there's nothing there. But if you look the geography of the Elswick, it's unbelievable. It's a nice valley, so many beautiful parks around. The overall, the scenic essence and Hadrian walls, everything, it should be a place of pride for people to come back. Yeah. So I wanted to change that narrative, because that's how you bring pride back to an area. It's not only what color of the skin, it is about how you feel connected in the area.
I think it's actually getting people to feel a bit better about the place they live and tackling issues from the ground up. And often that means really focusing on some really quite mundane stuff. But we know that mundane stuff is really important to people. It is to me, where I live. I don't want to see litter and vandalism and antisocial behaviour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you founded Muslim Greens.
I was one of the earliest started with Muslim Green. We have such an amazing group of us, and it was so good that we have done it.
It's a national
group, yes.
Also, you were involved with Green Friends Bangladesh and the Newcastle Wanderers Cricket Club. So tell me a bit about the cricket club.
Hey, I remember 2017, the World Cup. My kids was watching cricket on TV, and that's the only time they saw cricket happening. Yeah, and it's almost struck me like you don't have any space where kids can go and play cricket in the area. Yeah. And obviously I'm from subcontinent, and the subcontinent cricket is huge. So I took them to the local ground and I started showing them how to play cricket in a grass field, which is obviously a bit tough because the ball was bouncing all around. But hey, bless them. Then by the help of Northumberland Cricket Board at that time and Chance to Shine cricket programs, we managed to galvanize a group of kids to regularly come and play cricket. And during that time, we had a big influx of refugees from Syria and others as well in our city. By that summer, we had around 50 kids playing along with the families, just playing cricket and learning about it. And that turned into a cricket club. We still continue doing it. We don't still have a ground. We just travel here and there every Sunday to play a bit of cricket. And it's unbelievable how it made those kids a good leader. And
I think this is an absolutely fascinating story because it's community building in action.
Yeah, I think BBC did a documentary about my project before the Great North Run. But one thing I actually always be proud of, and for that group of kids, because that summer, a lot of young children came in our country and they're playing within their friends in the similar age group, helped them to learn English. By the time we finished in our summer program, everyone was speaking in English, understanding each other in a respectful way, and understanding how culture and social fabric works. You didn't need an institution to do it. You just use the safe space for those kids to play and learn. It's a prime example of how things could be done without having an institution.
This is the sort of thing that could be replicated and expanded as a process for, I hate to use the word integration because I think it's misused at the moment. That's it in action, isn't it?
Yeah. And I always say that a safe, open space and a green space should be the key for when we say integration in inverted comma, for everything. Because if you give a community a safe space, an outdoor space and a green space, community will get engaged to each other because this is what they want. Yeah. We want to be out and about and speak to people. And if we don't feel comfortable and safe outside, how a little baby and little kid will feel comfortable on the outside? So that's why we conceal ourselves behind closed door and just spend time in indoors. Yeah. And that's my lived example, how those kids just made it by themselves. We even had a World Cup among those kids. We have 7 different countries. Give them some jerseys of Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and other countries just to have fun. And out product of that is cohesion, which is what we need, a cohesion, understanding each other.
It strikes me that the flag campaign going on at the moment is doing exactly the opposite of what you've just been talking about. It's actually making people feel less welcome outside in open spaces.
I will tell you what, I am a migrant in this country. Half of my life I was in Bangladesh. But I am as proud Geordie as I could be.
Yeah.
Now, whether a lot of people can ask, you're not Geordie enough, your accent is not Geordie enough, doesn't matter, doesn't. But is my heart, does it cry for Elswick every single second?
Yes.
So does it not make me a Geordie? Of course it does.
Of course, absolutely.
So that is what we want to understand, that look, it is not about the skin color. It's not about how people speak, what pronunciation they have, what accent they have. It is what they're feeling. And if you make them feel in love with your area, you will see that everyone loves to live in a peace and a harmony.
Yes. Well said. Now, you've taken part in major leadership programs, the British Council's Lead Bangladesh project and the Northern Powerhouse Senior Leaders Cohort. What have you got from those experiences?
Lead Bangladesh project was really interesting because it was a 3 years long project. We were selected to mentor some young leaders, youth leaders in Bangladesh, which actually given me a lot of learning to understand how to manage understanding them and putting them in a group and make them to work as a group is really, really good learning for me at that point. And also seeing what we have achieved, because I was invited after to go to see what those leaders achieved in their area. And I've seen the impact they have made from just from a bamboo stick. So what happened? Because of the paddy field, you need more rice. So a lot of deforestation created a lot of paddy field. But the birds doesn't have anywhere to sit on. So one of the youth leaders came up with an idea, why don't you put one bamboo stick, a long bamboo stick in the middle of a paddy field? At least the birds can sit there and look after whatever the insects they eat. And it's helping the ecosystem for the area. So local problem, local solution from a local leader.
Yeah.
I always remember when I walk around in Elswick, I always think, one size fits for all doesn't really work everywhere.
Yes.
You might need something different in my part of the city because the West End is probably different than other corner of the city somewhat. And there was a clear example of how a local problem can be resolved with someone locally finding a solution too. And British Council did a really, really good job. And that's something I would always advocate for British aid to go to the countries like ours.
Mm-hmm.
I know, unfortunately, politically, they took a decision to take those international foreign aid off, but only 7% of it actually make a huge difference in countries like Bangladesh. A lot of people came out of the profession, and a lot of women and girls been empowered because of the service help we have given them. And foreign aid is really important to prevent tackling those issues in advance rather than becoming an issue for those people to displace from the area.
That's a real story about the importance of foreign aid and also
absolutely.
the impact of taking it away again.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have seen a lot of success stories. We don't highlight them enough, but every little element of the success stories made a huge difference in the area where people are benefited from.
I'm just interested actually now in getting an understanding as to the sort of changes you've made, maybe the wins you feel you've accomplished as a councillor. Is there anything that really comes to mind in terms of something you've accomplished as an elected person for your community?
I think my community will decide that. I think they're in the best place to say. But I would say a few things which put a smile on my face. And one of them would be the work I've done with a local primary school. Those young students with the small little handwriting, they send me multiple letters to ask and meet them so that they can discuss about Elswick Park and their vision and their issues about the park. When they got engaged with them, we had a site tour with them, and they have given their thoughts how they would like to see that park. And then they have drawn a model of what they would like to see, and it led to the city council to promise that £250,000 will be invested in the park. And towards that project, they have drawn so many different posters just to show their view of how a park should look like and how people should take responsibilities of the park. And what we did, we actually made them as a poster and wrapped them around the bins. So people, when they're walking, those kids, when they're walking, they actually see their own drawing in the bin house. Then it gave them the connection, which was missing. It also gave them the sense of pride that they made a difference. And it also given them the knowledge how to raise a concern and issue rather than shouting in the street, in a systematic way. Above all of that, it made them a better leader. I think they understand those kids, the family. Actually, we had a ceremony after the whole process, and they called me in the school assembly and gave me a beautifully handwritten card. I actually keep it always in my bag Because every time I go through any difficulties, when I open my bag and I see that gives me the inspiration that this is what I'm doing it for.
Lovely.
Because these kids will take the baton from us.
Yeah.
And they will help us to make a fairer and a greener community because they know what does it mean.
Yes. Now, politics is shifting in Newcastle. I think we see this actually across the country, not just Newcastle. People are abandoning the mainstream parties. Support for Labour in particular is dissolving. And actually Newcastle is shifting towards the Greens. What does that mean for Newcastle? What does it mean for your ward, Elswick?
I touched earlier about pride. I want to bring back pride in my ward and west end of the city. We are a very close-knit community. I want this whole area to feel and be the cultural hub for Newcastle. All the different culture we have, all the different ethnicity we have. I want people in whole Northeast, not only in Newcastle, to think, okay, hang on, one day I want Lebanese food.
Yeah.
Drive to Elswick or just go and see West End. Because I want people to come and enjoy the different ethnicity in a positive way, where they understand what does it mean, along with our Hadrian Wall, along with our Roman church we have in the corner.
Yeah.
So I want the mix of both, and that is my vision. It's amazing place, West End of Newcastle. It's unbelievable. If you look up from the valley from Gateshead, you will just fall in love straight away. If you go down the bottom hill of Hodgkin Park and look up and see St. Joseph's Church, it's unbelievable how beautiful the city is. We need to have more councillors, similar-minded councillors, especially Greens. Of course, we want to win big. The stronger we get, the vision will be replicated in there. Mm-hmm. And I want to have a proper transport system for us, both for local and the people from travelling from outside of the city. And I want the kids to regularly feel that when they're walking to school, they're feeling proud about themselves. When they're learning in the school, they're feeling engaged with their community and learning the leadership skill they need to be a better leader for the future. Because every one of us are a leader. Because when you sit down in your dining table with your family, you can be a leader, you can pass your opinion. And when you come out of the school or college, you give something back to the community. Yeah. And only way you can do it when you feel proud about it and feel connected. I want that to happen in our Elswick and West End of Newcastle.
It's really, really lovely to talk to you today and hear your ideas for the future, your vision, a little bit about the things you've already accomplished. And I wish you the absolute best for the forthcoming elections.
Thank you very much for having me. Just before I go, I just want to say that whoever is listening, if you're an activist or anyone, please remember it is our time. And you need to grab that.
Yes.
It is our time to make a difference. And only way we can make a difference if you come out and do it.
Khaled's story reflects the possibility of a more collaborative and hopeful future for the West End. One built on pride, local leadership, and genuine community connection. If you'd like to get involved with the work happening across Elswick, or simply learn more about what a green approach looks like on the ground, you'll find links in the show notes. Please like and subscribe to get notifications on all the episodes in the series. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.